All Amerindians will benefit from Budget 2020, says Member of Parliament Honorable Lee Williams. The parliamentarian lauded the $475 million budgetary allocation for Amerindians to benefit from COVID relief and the reintroduction of the Community Support Officers Program, which is expected to provide jobs for Amerindian youth. He hailed the $800 million allocation for the Amerindian Development Fund as a step in the right direction for Indigenous people.
Electrification with dismantled. Again, the solar system was described by the APNU-AFC as handouts and toys. We were promised that we will be given the bigger one that can run electricity 24/7, to have the TV, fan, and refrigerator. Up to now, nothing has been done. They promised, but never fulfilled. So, Mr. Speaker, the electrification program will be reintroduced. As I speak today, the Amerindian people will not be left behind. All the Amerindian people will be benefiting from this 2020 budget.
Doctors who were trained in Cuba and have returned to Guyana to serve the public's health sector would once again be able to enjoy the benefits of gratuity at 6-month intervals. Government Member of Parliament Dr. BHERI RAMSARAN said this measure has been catered for in Budget 2020.
We'll explore actively returning the 22.5% contract whereby the gratuity of 22.5% is given at the end of every 6 months. That's why a lot of them are leaving. That's why some of them are lethargic, or doctors, because the PPPC trained about 2,000 in a short space of time. How many have you been training? And those 2,000 now can go on further to become specialists. So many of them were disgruntled. That is the Cuban, the Jagdeo scholars. That's the term I use, the Jagdeo scholars. And some people get them angry. But under the Jagdeo regime, sometimes almost 2,000 people were sent predominantly to become doctors. Exactly, that's it. They came back to Guyana, to build Guyana, to follow their contractual obligation. And your party, they mistreated them. And you broke a contract virtually. So those are things that we will be addressing.
The PPPC administration expects that with the reinstatement of gratuity, more persons will join the profession and boost the human resource capacity within the health sector. Additionally, those who have already been trained would be encouraged to specialize, thereby filling vacancies for much-needed medical services in Guyana. $3 billion has been allocated to providing more sustainable housing solutions in the 2020 budget. This was disclosed by Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Honorable Susan Rodrigues, during budget debate on Tuesday.
We are determined to enable every Guyanese family a proper home in a safe, secure, and proper neighborhood, not as squatters or as tenants, but as responsible and proud owners with titles that banks and other lending will regard as good security. $1.721 billion is allocated for infrastructure development to make service lots available. This allocation includes monies for the acquisition of lands from NISIL, Gaisuku, and Guyana Lands and Survey as part of our 50,000 house lot commitment to the electorate. Mr. Speaker, we are already planning for that 50,000. We haven't limited ourselves or limited our targets to an annual target. We are thinking big, and we will deliver on those 50,000 house lots way in advance. This 2020 program sets the conditions for the awakening of the housing sector under the PPPC.
Additionally, $292.8 million has been budgeted to begin land preparations for residential house lots. Part of this sum has been earmarked for the construction of roads and bridges to access lands. The government of Guyana is committed to strengthening capacity and adopting a strong legislative and regulatory framework for the sustainable management of the country's natural resources. This was reiterated by Honorable VICKRAM, Minister of Natural Resources, who said it will be done through policies, plans, and projects of the ministry.
The last administration claimed to be supportive of small miners and loggers, yet you impose VAT on machinery and equipment. We are removing that in only 1 month in office. Tax concessions on mining agriculture and forestry, removal of VAT on hinterland travel. Mr. Speaker, we know that local travel is already expensive as it is. The APNU AFC imposed VAT on local travel, not only hindering the loggers and the miners, but our Amerindian brothers and sisters who have to travel had to pay VAT on travel. This we will remove. Another promise fulfilled in only 1 month.
Member of Parliament Honorable FAIZAL JAFFARALLY said the government's interest in agriculture is undeniable. The MP recalled that when Minister of Agriculture Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa visited communities, several farmers expressed concerns about their crops. Mr. JAFFARALLY unveiled several development plans for Demerara Mahaica Region 5, explaining that urgent rehabilitative works have already started to assist farmers.
For 5 years, the canals within the MMA boundary were not desilted. The dams are in passable condition. The minister responded. As I'm speaking to you here, honorable members, Mr. Speaker, 13 machinery is in the backlands of MMA, desilting 245 canals. 245 canals to bring relief to the farmers. Mr. Speaker, the dams are now being graded so to allow rice farmers to bring their crops to the factory. That is what a caring government does.
Member of Parliament Honorable DHARAMKUMAR SEERAJ said that the budget will positively impact the economy.
The kind of measures that are entailed in this budget is intended to instill confidence in all our sectors so that we can do well to bring good for our people. This budget says clearly, sir, that the new fees, the new taxes will revert back to the 2014 level. The farmers, especially in Region 5, will be happy to know that from a demand made by the APNU AFC of $15,000 per acre, they will now be required to pay $3,500 per acre, which is the 2014 level. Land rent will be reduced from $7,000 to $1,000. Drainage and irrigation charges will be reduced from $8,000 to $2,500. The dray cart operator, the fishmonger pushing his cart along, will not be required to pay these draconian fees. So these are the kind of investment that a government that knows that what it is about.
The previous administration was also strongly criticized for mismanaging the public health sector. The criticism came from Member of Parliament Dr. VISHWA MAHADEO. The MP highlighted that at the New Amsterdam Hospital, it was found that 4 of the 5 anesthetic machines were not working.
Mr. Speaker, here's a shocker. And an example of how APNU AFC government function. There was a new anesthetic machine that was bought for millions of dollars, sole source. By the way, I pause here. There's an honorable member in this house when making a speech in 2015 said sole sourcing for the APNU AFC will be in the past. But Mr. Speaker, that's definitely not so. This one was sole source. Mr. Speaker, this new anesthetic machine has never been used and cannot be used in the New Amsterdam Public Hospital. So it is parked there. But do you know, Mr. Speaker, why it cannot be used? It cannot be used because it is an anesthetic machine that is to be used for veterinary services, to put animals to sleep for surgical interventions.